Hello and welcome back to another Doctor Who figure review. In today's Doctor Who figure review I'm taking a look at one of the newly released Doctor Who B&M figure sets, which is of the first Doctor and electronic TARDIS, based from An Adventure in Space and Time, featuring not Mr. William Hartnell but Mr. David Bradley as the first Doctor. So this is a real nice sort of oddity figure set because, you know, we never really expected to get a David Bradley figure in the line, so it's a nice little oddity, and it does raise the question, where on earth is he going to go on the shelf? I'm probably going to put him next to Capaldi. I mean, you could put him next to Jodie or Matt Smith if you want to make a nice little 50th anniversary display. I'll probably put him next to the 12th Doctor. So the way this review is going to work, I'm going to take a look at the packaging, the articulation in detail, and do my usual comparison to the other First Doctor figures and the other First Doctor TARDISes. Now, this is the first electronic TARDIS in the B&M line, so this is a real nice little treat to have, to be honest. So without further ado, let's dive in to the packaging. Yeah, the elephant in the room. We have the plastic-free window which exposes the figure to the elements. Now, I will say, I like the compact box design. I think that this is much more sleek, but I'm not a fan of not having a window at all because, you know, anybody can be tampering with the figure. But I guess it's a nice way of checking quality control because there's nice window box displaying the TARDIS so you can see the figure all round. So if you are an inbox collector, then you can still enjoy the figure in a way. But yeah, I'm not a fan of not having the plastic, I'll be honest. So the box, we have the traditional style guide there of the Jodie Whittaker era, featuring the first Doctor as played by David Bradley, the name of the set of their electronic light and sounds. Again, we have the window box there so you can check the quality control. And on the back there we have a quote from An Unearthly Child, a bit of information about An Unearthly Child, and what this set includes, featuring David Bradley as the first Doctor. So that is the packaging. Like the box, not a fan of not having a plastic window. The first figure we're going to look at, rather fittingly, we're going to take a look at the first Doctor, or the first Doctor Mark III, I guess. So yeah, we have the David Bradley figure. Now, when this set was sort of leaked, there was a rumour going around that this set would have been from the Web Planet, featuring a first Doctor with sort of the Web Planet equipment on. But no, this took everyone by surprise when we saw the leaked images that, oh my god, it is a David Bradley figure based from Adventure in Space and Time. So this is a very niche figure set, and I can see that this set being quite a nice little oddity in the future. So without further ado, so we take a look at the articulation for this figure, and then we'll take a look at the detail for this, and then the comparison to the other First Doctor figures. Articulation wise, for the First Doctor figure, the head can move side to side. The arms can do a full 360 degree turn. We have 360 at the bicep, bend at the elbow, and the wrists do turn, but they are very stiff on this figure, so I'm not going to force it. The waist do turn slightly, but are hindered by the coat and can kick out, but again hindered by the coat, and of course can kind of do the splits, but again hindered by the coat. And of course we do have thigh articulation as well, and of course bend at the knee. The articulation out of the way, let's take a look at the detail for this First Doctor figure. So we take a look at the head sculpt. So we have the traditional First Doctor Artisan hat, which is very much the same as what we've seen on other First Doctor figures. Literally same detailing, nice sort of nice mottled effect there, giving that nice texturing detail. We've got the nice seam in the centre of the hat. It's all done very nice and all what we've seen before. But the main talking point for this figure is the David Bradley head sculpt, which is very cool. I really do think this is a real great likeness to David Bradley, especially when you get it from certain angles. You definitely do see David Bradley within this head sculpt. So if we take a closer look at this head sculpt, the paint taps on this are really nice and thin, so it means that you can really get a nice sort of detailing of the head sculpt and the sort of head scan that Character Options have done. For David Bradley, we've got the lines on the forehead there. You can see sort of the crow's feet by the eyes, and you can see sort of lines and dimples by the lower half of the face, which is done very well. It's just done incredibly well. It is a nice sort of head sculpt, which really does reflect sort of David Bradley's likeness. Great. If we move to the back, we have the wig, which just gives this sort of nice sort of off-white sort of blondish look to it, much like the same sort of paint taps used on the Monster Paladin Third Doctor figure. So we've got a nice sort of texturing detail of the hair. You can see it curling round David Bradley's ear. It's done great. You can see the individual strands of hair there with nice sort of texturing detail to give it that nice lifelike effect. But yeah, real great head sculpt. Definitely does look like David Bradley. It's kind of spooky. really how well character options have captured David Bradley's likeness. So, the costume. This is very much your traditional First Doctor figure, but we have another change, which is the form of this scarf. We have a different paint apps on it, which very much looks like sort of a peppermint scarf, really. Yeah, I don't think the scarf sits quite well on the body. It just seems a little bit bulky. I don't know out from the new packaging, where it sort of becomes a little bit warped in the box. I don't know, but it doesn't seem to quite sit right on the body this time, so I might need to have a little play around. But in terms of the scarf detailing, I will say the paint apps on the scarf are a little bit messy. You can see there's a bit of paint bleed there onto the little white section, which is a little bit annoying, but from a distance you can't really notice it. But yeah, it's a little bit of a shame but other than that, it's traditional First Doctor scarf. You've got the nice sort of tassel detailing there, and of course on the lower half of the scarf, it's a nice little pop of colour on this costume. It definitely does make it stand out, but yeah, I just wish the paint apps were a little bit more crisper and cleaner and sharper on it, because it does look a little bit messy towards the top where you can see it all sort of bleeding over into each section, really. But yeah, other than that, we have the traditional First Doctor costumes. We've got a nice cravat, the nice glossy button finish, the seam of the jacket, the pockets, and of course on the back we have the nice sort of seam detailing there, and of course buttons again, which is all lovely, and the buttons on the cuff. Interestingly, the figure has, I don't know if the camera's picking up, but the jacket has a sort of matte finish to it, whereas the arms have this very sort of glossy black finish to it, which makes it just stand out a little bit. You can just about see, but it doesn't quite blend in as well as it should have, like on other First Doctor figures. One thing to note, the ring isn't painted on this figure, which is a little bit of a shame, because David Bradley did have the iconic blue ring when he was playing the First Doctor. They have improved one thing. The trousers are back to the traditional First Doctor trousers, so we've got this lovely sort of tight check detail with a nice creasing detail to give it a lifelike effect. So it's great to see we've moved on from the Trousergate. Audioir has listened that people weren't very happy with the trousers last year for the First Doctor, so it's great to see that rectified with a nice sort of tight small checks, which seems sort of more sort of season 3 in a way. I want to say how small these checks seem to be, because they don't seem to be as big as they were on the original, which we'll do a comparison. And the shoes are just a nice black finish tone, which doesn't really have the pop of colour like the other First Doctor shoes, but yeah, I guess it's accurate to how it was in Adventure in Space and Time. But yeah, lovely figure, and I think that it's a nice little oddity to have David Bradley in 5-inch figure form. So let's do a comparison to the other First Doctor figures what come with the TARDIS. Moving on to a comparison now with the other First Doctor figures. So we have the Forbidden Planet 2010 TARDIS set version, the 2021 B&M version, and of course the 2022 David Bradley version. So yeah, one thing to notice is the David Bradley one has got the trousers back after this rather ghostly First Doctor figure got it wrong. Yeah, I still like that it's got sort of an annual feel to it, but I think that it's nice to see the traditional First Doctor trousers back on the David Bradley figure. I guess you could swap the head if you wanted to, but yeah, of course, this First Doctor figure has the cloak, which gives it more of that sort of traditional First Doctor silhouette compared to these two. I think this sculpt was altered for the Resolution 13th Doctor figure, but that figure never saw the light of day. So we take a look at the comparison to the B&M ones. So you can see very much the same detailing, nothing really too different, only the trousers. But I guess we can do a comparison to the Forbidden Planet trousers. You can see that they are a completely different trouser sculpt, well, different sort of patterning I should say, on these compared to the David Bradley one. Of course the shoes are different because it has a nice sort of spat detail, where these are just a plain black, and on the B&M one we just have sort of a brown sort of spat design, whereas these are just plain black, like I said. So yeah, not much you can say in terms of comparison, just the main difference, scarf being different, and obviously the head really. But yeah, good to see the traditional First Doctor trousers back. So that is the First Doctor TARDIS squad. On to the TARDIS now. This is very exciting because, like I say, it's an electronic TARDIS. It's a first for B&M. and when this TARDIS leaked, it looked very vibrant and kind of didn't look great, and people were a bit like, oh, it looks a bit tatty and a bit rubbish. But I have to say, having this TARDIS in hand, it really is stunning, and I'm a sucker for getting TARDISes, and this is a fine addition to the TARDIS lineup. I really love the blue that's been used. I think it's pretty much spot on to what was used in Adventure in Space and Time. So the way we're going to look at the TARDIS, take a look at the detail, features, and then a comparison to the other First Doctor TARDIS. So let's take a look at the roof. So we have the traditional sort of funnel lens there. We've got the nice sort of sculpted detail to give that nice sort of lens effect there. The nice sort of detailing on the top of the lamp housing, which is done great. We have the lovely wood grain effect there with a sort of grey wash over it to really highlight that wood grain detailing, which is tremendous, and that's used throughout all of this TARDIS in terms of weathering. We've got the nice sort of wash on the sort of roof of the TARDIS, which I think personally, this is my personal opinion, I think that this TARDIS hides the join better, because I think on the B&M one last year you could really see where the roof was sort of joined onto this TARDIS, but I think because there's a wash over it, I think it helps sort of hide it and makes it feel like more one piece and two separate pieces combined, if that makes sense. So we have new signage on the TARDIS compared to the other one. This is more of a more blocky text, which really does stand out. We've got the nice sort of panelled windows there, a nice sort of grating effect, pebbled effect there, and again we continue sort of a grey, white, sort of black wash over the TARDIS to really help accentuate the detail, to sort of highlight sort of the Artex and wood grain effect, which, you know, this TARDIS did have the wood grain effect in Adventure in Space and Time, so this is probably the most accurate sort of First Doctor TARDIS in that regard, which is lovely. We have the new signage on the door giving this sort of yellow, sort of worn look, which definitely looks quite vibrant, and I think that it really helps make this TARDIS pop even more. It does stand out alongside this sort of colour of shade of blue. We have a sort of bronze door sort of keyhole, and the same for the door handle. Again, we have the St. John's Ambulance sort of faded, which I think, you know, is a clever way of getting around not having the St. John Ambulance logo, well, using the St. John's Ambulance logo just to give that illusion. Again, we have the great sort of black sort of highlight, which really, again, highlights all the detail. Again, the weathering varies between each TARDIS, so it depends how battered you want your TARDIS to look, but this is sort of the last one in this shop, so I was like, this is my chance of getting it, so this is the TARDIS I've got, and I have to say that I really do like it. Nice weathering detail, like I say, nice sort of Artex effect on the main frame of the TARDIS. Again, very much the same detail on all sides. If you've got a classic TARDIS, then you basically know what you're getting. Great sort of Artex lumps there, and the nice sort of wood grain effect, and the nice sort of wash giving that a great lifelike effect. The base of the TARDIS is the same sort of thin base what we saw in 2019 on the Sharda box and Cave Androzani TARDIS. But again, we've got a sort of a white wash over, which really just highlights the sort of wood grain effect on this TARDIS. Again, like I say, very much the same detail we've all grown to know and love over the B&M line of the classic TARDIS. So we've got the speaker hole, and of course where we put the batteries. Batteries are not included on this TARDIS, so if you're in B&M and you see this TARDIS, then you might want to pick up some batteries as well. But yeah, very much the same detail what we've seen on all the other classic TARDIS, and yeah, I absolutely love this TARDIS. I really like the 1960s TARDIS. I love the blue, and this TARDIS looks absolutely stunning. If you put a torch behind the windows, it's got this lovely nice warm glow behind it, and it looks like the TARDIS is alive, and it feels very 60s. I'll put a photo on screen so you can see what I mean. Especially it looks great when you've got the lantern lit as well. It just screams 1960s Doctor Who. So let's take a look at the features of this TARDIS, then we'll do the comparison. Feature wise, this TARDIS has the traditional doors opening. Of course this door has the lock, so that just locks into place. And of course we have the traditional square button, which does lock that TARDIS. So yeah, that's the only feature. Oh wait, this is electronic. So if we switch the TARDIS on like so, we have the pressure button. So let's make this TARDIS materialise, shall we? So I believe this TARDIS has 4 sound effects. It has 2 dematerialisation and 2 materialisation sounds. So let's try out the materialisation, well, the dematerialisation I should say. So the lantern is quite a nice bright sort of cold light, which I personally would have preferred the same LED what was used on the Abominable Snowmen TARDIS, which is this nice sort of orangey yellow, which really does match sort of the vibe of the windows once you put a torch behind it. But yeah, let's do the materialisation now. I think this is a quicker materialisation. Or it's still the same actually, I think. And we'll see if it has a quick dematerialisation now. So yeah, that is the light and sound. So it's very much the same as what we got on like the Abominable Snowmen TARDIS. So you basically know what you're getting, but it's nice to have electronic First Doctor TARDIS. Yes, you can recreate the chase now. Comparison time. So here we have the 3 First Doctor TARDISes. So this is the FP one, the one from B&M last year, and we have the David Bradley one. So you can see how vibrant of a blue this TARDIS is compared to all the other First Doctor TARDISes. I still think this is my favourite one out of the bunch. I know it's the most inaccurate one and it feels more Peter Cushing in a way, but I just love the shade of blue on this TARDIS, and it just looks really stunning. I really do like that TARDIS. So I guess the main draw fact, well, comparison is with the B&M one. Like I say, you can really see the join line on this one compared to the David Bradley one. I think the blue really does highlight, or sort of hide, the stacked roof. But yeah, let's have a closer look so you can see the difference in the windows, how vibrant this TARDIS is, the different sort of signage there, and how sort of the door handle does sort of stand out compared to the other ones. And of course we have the traditional different base there, as you can see. This has more sort of a bluey grey look to it, and of course this is more of your traditional TARDIS blue. But yeah, different signage you can see. Yeah, really nice TARDIS, I have to say. So yeah, that is the First Doctor TARDIS lineup. I'm still a sucker for the original. I think that this is glorious. Even though it's inaccurate, it's using the 7th Doctor TARDIS mould, and this is the more accurate First Doctor TARDIS box, really. But this has still got a special place in my heart. But yeah, really nice TARDIS. So let's do my overall thoughts on this set. So what are my overall thoughts on the First Doctor and TARDIS from Adventure in Space and Time? Well, I have to say that this is a real interesting oddity set to have a David Bradley figure. That wasn't on my 2022 Doctor Who figure bingo card, but I have to say it's a welcome addition. I think that the likeness to David Bradley is excellent. If you get it at certain angles like that, it definitely really does capture David Bradley's First Doctor incredibly well. The TARDIS is really beautiful. I love the shade of blue, and it really does reflect the TARDIS as seen in Adventure in Space and Time. I think that is an absolute gorgeous thing. I'm a sucker for a TARDIS, so this is definitely a fine addition. And I think that the fact that it's electronic, it opens the door for people to get hold of a First Doctor TARDIS and electronic. So if you missed out last year on the First Doctor TARDIS, then you don't need to worry. You can get this TARDIS and it have electronics, and it only be a couple quid more. I think for £24.99, this is a steal. I think compared to what we paid for with the Second Doctor and Abominable Snowmen set, which was 40 quid. Granted, it was a completely new Second Doctor figure. I think that this is definitely better value. I think that this is a great set, and I highly recommend it. I think that this is one of the surprising sets of the year for me, and a set I sort of forgot was happening. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's really cool, really special. And I think that it's a nice oddity in the Doctor Who figure line, because it's a nice little curveball to what we expect. I will say I probably would have liked to have seen David Bradley in more of the traditional First Doctor costume. Maybe we can get that later on down the line. But yeah, for now, I think that it's a nice little oddity to have a set from Adventure in Space and Time, which is brilliant. So yeah, that concludes this review. I hope you've enjoyed this figure review. I'll see you next time for more Doctor Who B&M figure reviews. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do like and subscribe. Plenty of Doctor Who figure related content coming up in the near future, with reviews of the other B&M sets and of course my top 10 figures for 2022. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.